All right, good people, we are back. This is I Am Nighthawk, your host Eric Buckner. It's going to be a little chopped up when we do this on the radio side. We had an issue where Facebook terminated my feed due to the fact that I was utilizing a video from a 60 minutes interview to explain my point that I'm trying to get across here about tonight's topic, a different way to educate. I will basically, what I will do is put the link to said video in the chat so you guys could check out the rest of it for yourselves. But in the meanwhile, I will give you a breakdown of basically what it talked about. So let's do that this way, okay? And of course, we're back on Facebook and YouTube now. Now that I'm not using the video, they should be okay. All right, so here's the deal, people. This is an app called Conmigo. Conmigo is basically designed to help students learn different aspects of their educational journey through helping the teacher teach a lesson that is incorporated within the Conmigo programming. So basically, she would set up her lesson plan to coincide with Conmigo and vice versa, and they in tune would help to jointly teach the lesson. It is designed to help in situations where the teacher can't always answer every student's every question, and Conmigo in turn is supposed to be used as an assistant tool to help kids learn their lessons. Understand that as they explain, it is designed not to just flat out give students answers to certain questions. It is designed to help them think about how to get to the proper responses necessary to complete their work, whether that be science or math or English or reading, what have you. There are different phases of Conmigo that are designed for elementary, middle school, and high school. And there are over 40 school districts throughout the country this year that is going to use this Conmigo app of AI to help teach their children the lessons that they need to know. Now, based on the information that they get during the school year and the feedback, I imagine that these schools will either fully incorporate it within the following years or come with some different design. But long story short, I do believe this is the future of education as we know it. Understanding that reading, writing, and arithmetic are still going to be the basic building blocks of what we're teaching the kids. But overall, those things will be taught in a different way, and it will definitely be incorporated within computer learning. Because, long story short, AI is here to stay. Like it or not wanting to deal with it or not, it is a part of what the future holds for all of us. They are utilizing it in other countries more so than we are right now. It is constantly evolving and growing. I just this week got into something called Galaxy AI. You will learn that most of the newer phone models in the Android series will come incorporated with some type of Gemini or Galaxy AI already incorporated into it for free, where you can do a variety of different things from editing photos to making videos to learning different things, chat GPT and what have you. I've already started to incorporate some of that into what I'm doing here in the podcast space as well as into my daily living. We'll have a discussion about that on another show. But in terms of the school, this is what we got right now. Now, understand part of what comes with this is you have to have the equipment necessary to make this helpful and work, which means not only do there need to be accessible computers in the classroom and in the school itself, but also more than likely your children will have to have access to computers as well. In order to have access to computers, they also will need to have access to internet. From my understanding, there are several countries that are basically setting up universal internet, which means every man, woman, child will have access to free internet. At some point in these United States, that needs to become a thing. Okay, For all the things that we're spending money on and not spending money on, education, hell, they're trying to get rid of the Department of Education, for God's sake. One of the best things this particular administration can do is to understand this and come out and say point blank, okay, from here on in, we are allowing access to the internet for all for free. Free internet access for the country. I was running on the platform. That would be one of the things I'll do. I understand people be like, well, we can't pay for that. No, 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 no. Find a way. It's doable. We all know it's doable. If it's possible for us to access the internet by paying for it, it's absolutely a way to access the internet without paying for it as well. Plain and simple. Now, in terms of the concept of the Comigo, where it is designed to be a helper and not a utilization tool where it tells your child 3 times 3 is 9 and so on and so forth. I very much like that concept. I like the fact that they are learning how children are trying to get over on the system in the process of this, to where it's like, okay, we designed Comigo. This is what it does. Okay, you're trying to do it this way. It may or may not work. If it does work, then we know now we need to redesign this part of it to where that doesn't utilize that option for you. Because in the end, we want the students to learn the material. See, the problem is a lot of us in school are not necessarily learning the material. We're basically mimicking the material so that we know it long enough to take our standardized test, get the proper score, and then move on to the next thing. In the meanwhile, what we just learned, we tend to forget just as quickly. However, we also learned that when we are prompted to learn something and learn it thoroughly so that it helps us to continue to build upon it, like say if you are a gamer and you're learning how to play a certain game and whatnot, you remember the different prompts, the different buttons and what have you to do what you need to do. Remember that because it's something you care to know. This program has to find a way to incorporate a means to help kids need to know and want to know. Understand if Comigo is very dry and you don't really have a good grasp of what it doesn't really help you, which is why it's still important to have educators to be there to help where the computer does not. Some people, they just will not catch on to this concept, not because they are unable to, but because their willingness to fight against the system of it will hurt them. Some people will not be able to catch the concept because they do not have the educational skill necessary to make that work. In other words, because they will have learning disabilities that I'm sure they will try to incorporate in Comigo at some point, but I'm sure right now designed to teach basic student A, so that people with learning disabilities, they're still going to need special standardized help from educators in order to learn some of the lessons, or at least to incorporate enough of it to where these people can function in everyday society to some degree. Camigo will obviously have to be fitted to deal with people with educational challenges like not being able to speak or be blind or things of that nature. I'm sure they will work on aspects of that as well. But understand, education is a three-way process, okay? And the reason why I think Conmigo in certain instances will not work will not be because of the student. It will not be because of the teacher. It will be because of the third person in this partnership, which will be the parent. If the parent, as the older person, says that they don't trust this computer stuff, they ain't got time for this foolishness, I don't want my kid learning like that, you obviously at that point have an issue. Now, if you are in a school and they have decided, look, it's Comigo or nothing, then clearly you will have to find other educational options. If you are in a school and it says, okay, well, we understand there's a certain amount of parents that's not going to feel like their child is learning the right way from this, we still will have the traditional way to educate your child available. Some schools are just going to have to do that, and they will have enough staff in situations where they can do that. However, with other school systems where it's basically Comigo or nothing, it pretty much gonna have to be. You can't have these different options. Right now, the way the world is set up, I feel like every school, particularly from middle school on, should have an online option for all students. So that if you choose not to go to school but to learn online, that should be something available to you. I honestly feel that way. Now I know because of the budgets of some school districts, that's going to be a lot harder to do. But again, I feel like our government is mismanaging our dollars at times anyway. We should figure out a way to make that where it works, okay? Plain and simple. One of the things that we are learning in the last couple of weeks is that they are now pressing all college acceptance by all of the colleges to be based on a student's academic performance and have nothing to do with racial backgrounds or racial deficiencies or what have you. Okay, they basically want no DEI involvement in people being accepted to these colleges. And if there are any signs that that is the case, they are looking to cut off federal funding. The problem with that is that in certain school districts where the vast majority of the children are people of color, that do not have the financial resources that a other school district may have, because most of the people in that school district are in a higher tax bracket, so they can afford bigger and better that we cannot. That in turn will cause other issues down the line where there are definitely disparities, and it just won't be fair to certain people, plain and simple. The problem that we have here is that we need to come to some type of agreement on this thing. Because, like it or not, the school that we went to, us children of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, that school is very much different now. Remember, there may have been one or two computers in a school back in the late 80s, early 90s, where most schools have a computer in pretty much every class, and some schools have basic computer access in every class for every student. It is a different world than where we come from. We need to adapt and incorporate what we can to keep up with the rest of the world, plain and simple. So if this Conmigo is something that helps and works, by all means, we should be able to utilize it. And so Facebook, when you check this later to ask about my use of the content, it is to help educate the audience, which is something that we are legally allowed to do from my understanding. So when I fight that later on, please know that I will cite this particular moment in that discussion. This is a discussion to bring on discussion and to educate my audience. That is why we utilize that footage. But yes, we will credit 60 minutes for that footage. Please check it out. Like I said, I will put the link in the chat for you to look at the entire video later. Now, got no comments at the moment, but for those who may check in later on the rebroadcast, I will ask you a simple question. Do you feel this will work? Is this something you feel will help your child? Do you feel this is something you do not want for your child? You don't want them to have any type of computer learning involvement whatsoever. Do you feel that it's something that could benefit not just your child, but the whole household? As in, how many times now have some of us as older people gone to help our children with their homework, and because it's done and set up in a different way, have no idea how to help them? With the help of Comigo, not only can we get our children help, perhaps it can help us help them as well if we are fully involved in the process. Because I truly believe that if your child is going to school and you don't know what they got going, you are part of the problem right now. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, because now, as I usually do every year, I will go into some of my things that we should try to get set up for the upcoming school year. And because I am trying to incorporate the AI, I enlisted the help of AI to give me some tips as to what I should talk about in regards to that subject. So, after this commercial break here on the I Am Nighthawk show, we are going to get into some of those. What are some of the do's and don'ts and setups that we need for the upcoming school year? Again, shout out to all the educators who are getting ready to teach our kids and keep that going. All right. By the way, you guys, if you are looking for me on TikTok, this is where you can find me. I will put up a couple reels in the upcoming weeks about the show. Ebook at Nighthawk Network on TikTok is my TikTok. Okay. Again, it is Ebook at Nighthawk Network on TikTok. Again, this is the I Am Nighthawk Pod Show. I am your host, Ebook. We will be back after these words from the Nighthawk Network. You know the deal. Nighthawk Network, our voices for our people. Nighthawk Network presents Pastor Sean Love. Pastor Sean Love, devoted father and husband, a residing pastor at the River Rouge Bible Assembly in River Rouge, Michigan. Join him as he gives us messages from God's Word, Bible study, and encouragement. You can find him on YouTube under Sean Love.
If you're building your dream from scratch, mic in one hand, hustle in the other, this one's for you. Road to Stardom Network and Nighthawk Network present, a podcast for the indie by the indie, all genres, all grinds. From hip-hop to metal, jazz to trap, we're breaking boundaries. And it's not just artists. Entrepreneurs, creatives, and self-made bosses, we see you. We're giving you the spotlight. This ain't mainstream, this is your stream. Coming soon. Be ready.
Hey, this is your boy Ebook. And if you're looking for some great desserts, something sweet, something to treat yourself with, please check out my girl Caramel Sweets here in the Metro Detroit area. She can make desserts for your function, your event, or just for that special someone you want to give something nice to. So check her out. It's Caramel Sweets. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram. We appreciate you.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my T-steppers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comforts together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Darling.
Wrestling fans, let me tell you, the state of professional wrestling right now is absolutely electric. Have you seen what Roman Reigns has been doing lately? The Tribal Chief's dominance in WWE is unmatched, and the Bloodline saga just keeps getting better and better. But let's talk about some of the incredible rising stars who are changing the game. LA Knight's meteoric rise has been something special to witness. The way he connects with the crowd, pure magic. And don't even get me started on Braun Breaker. This kid has future world champion written all over him. Speaking of must-see action, did anyone catch that recent Dynamite show? AEW's been bringing the heat, and MJF continues to prove why he's one of the best on the mic in the business today. Looking ahead to the upcoming pay-per-views, I'm telling you, SummerSlam season is going to be insane this year. The build-up, the storylines, the potential dream matches, we're in for some unforgettable moments. There's never been a better time to be a wrestling fan, and I can't wait to see what happens next in this crazy, amazing world of professional wrestling.
What's going on, y'all? Your boy E-Buck is back. This is the I Am Nighthawk Pod Show. We are here, good people, to talk to y'all about what's going on in the educational world because it's that time again, time for school to start back, time to get our kids ready to go and situate. Now, every year we had this discussion, and I don't want it to be one that becomes stale to you guys. So I wanted to incorporate perhaps some slightly different points of view in regards to some of it. But some of these things are basic and we should do every year. So let's start out, of course, with the people that's just now getting their kids to school. They just starting that first school year. I sincerely hope and pray that you have some type of discussion with your child before they step and foot in anybody's classroom this year. There are just some basic stuff I feel as a person that your child should know and hear from you before they go sit down with a whole bunch of strange kids and people, as opposed to what they are used to at home. First and foremost, you should give your child some understanding of what the decorum of their behavior should be like. In other words, how to act in public, okay? You should let them know it is not good, it is not feasible to go around touching people, to go around taking things that don't belong to them, to speak to people any old kind of way, and nobody should be doing that to them either. They should know basic right from wrong. If they have any bathroom issue, they should know, okay, you should not be doing stuff like that in public. In other words, they should know how to use the bathroom where they don't have to like completely put their pants down unless they are in a bathroom by themselves and what have you. This are the little, the little in-between things that you want your child to be comfortable with and you feel like they should know before they walk in the classroom and you leave them by themselves for the first time in some cases, okay? Make sure you have that discussion with your youngster, all right? You also want to make sure at the first couple of days, because you'll give them the standard how to go, what y'all doing, what have you, but you want to also follow up with them after that first week, like, okay, what's going on? And if they're telling you stuff like it was great, I have fun, learn this and that, awesome. But if they're telling you things that you really need to know that, yeah, teacher such and such is touching me the wrong way, or this person said the wrong thing to me, or this kid is taking my lunch, things of that nature, these are things you want to know early on so you can either nip them in the bud or deal with them however appropriately you should. Now, granted, I don't have children, but I do have nieces. I do have cousins. Understand if I take my child to a school, preschool, what have you, and I find out that teacher has been dealing with my child wrongly in that way, I cannot safely sit here and be like, I will calmly deal with it and go to the authorities and all that. I ain't gonna sit here and tell y'all that lie. I can't sit here and tell y'all that lie because, like I said, the bond between a child and their parent is different, okay? The whole flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, I get that as much as I can without having experienced that myself. So if somebody mess with my child in that way, I know not what I would do. I'm not here to tell you what you should do outside of deal with it as appropriately and responsibly as you can. But for those educators, and that's what y'all thing is, that's what y'all hung up on, get out the business. This is not what we want for our kids at all. If you don't fully care about what you do, if you're just doing it for a check and nothing else and got no love or care, concern for these kids, we do not want you educating, keeping, teaching our kids point blank and flat out. Okay, that's that. Now, one of the issues that a lot of school districts are dealing with this year in particular is what to do about our good buddy, the third parent, as I call it. That is that good old thing called telephone. Now, understand, we just talked about this whole thing with Camigo and whatnot. And in an ideal world, if your pockets don't fit the budget to do that with your tablet or your whatever, because you can't afford all that, and this is the best option to put Conmigo on, you got to allow that, people. It makes perfect sense because the majority of kids from a certain age, let's just say 11 on, they got one of these third parents, one of them pocket buddies and whatnot. They just do. And because they serve more times than not as a distraction than a help, a lot of school districts are considering whether or not they should allow your child to have their phone on them at all times. Now, in an ideal world, I get it. It would make sense. You're in school to learn. You shouldn't be worrying about your phone and what's on there, game, chat, what have you. But in this world of ours, where every year, particularly since the year 2000, we have dealt with this thing called mass shootings in schools. As much as I don't want to bring that into light, I pray. Let us all pray right now that, Lord, let this please be a year where we don't have any mass school shootings, that all our kids go home safe like they did when they came in. These things happen for a reason, Lord. We know not why, but we need it to stop. We pray that we do not have to contend with that at all this year. And if not, then let it be as little to none as possible, please. Amen. Because in the end, when it come down to it right now, the way our government and stuff is set up, all we can truly do is pray on it to some degree. Because we don't want to deal with gun issues the way we truly need to, because understand in other countries around the world, these things don't happen at all. Not even a consideration of happening. Not even possible to happen in some countries where guns is like, okay, that's for the people that deal with that. Basic citizen aid, we don't have no guns. We don't need no guns. We don't play that here. But America, we built different. We got to have it different. We got to protect our belongings. We have a right to bear arms. I got to protect mine by any means necessary. That type of stuff. Anyway, let's move on. All right. So, yeah, it's up to you as parents to say, look, yeah, you got your phone. This is what you should be using it for, okay? If that school district has decided that they got to put them in the bag to the end of the day, that's something you should know ahead of time so that you don't have that issue with you having to come up to the school to get little man's baby phone because he got took. That's something you should know that school does. In fact, at this point, let us incorporate some of the information that I got from good old Chat GPT in regards to helping us with some of our school stuff. Okay, so my bad, y'all. Swapping screens, swapped other stuff. Sometimes a little bit more fancy than it need to be here. Anyway, I incorporated a little video here. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Basically, I did it in video form, but that's not going to help us because I can't pause it the way I need to in that form. So what I'm going to do is read off some of them things and we'll just discuss, okay? Let's do it that way, shall we? All right. Now, first of all, here are some of the things that Chat GPT suggested we do in regards to getting set up for the school year. Okay, first it says, let us first start out by establishing consistent sleep patterns. Now, every year this time of year, we had this problem. It's a couple weeks before school. We've been letting the kids stay up all hours of the day and night. I know y'all done witnessed me doing this about 5,000 times. I'm sorry, but one, it's hot here in the Nighthawk Network home studio, fan and all, AC and all. It was very muggy evening. Two, the little bitty bugs get in through the windows, and a couple of them that got in, they smurfing with me. And I'm trying to get them leave me alone. I'm sorry, but it distracting y'all. I'm trying not to do it so much, okay? 3, I got to stay hydrated. Doctor's orders. When you take the medications I do, hydration is key in heated weather, okay? Anyway, back to the discussion. Establish consistent sleep patterns. Right now, tonight, these kids is 10, 16. The younger kids should be in bed right now. They not. They not. Nope. This the last night. School start next week, week after. We need to get you straight. I'll go to bed. No, you're going to start now. So you used to it again. So when school start, we don't have to have no problem. Because one of the problems that most parents seem to have that first week, where it's hard to get everybody properly situated for school because everybody's late, because kids had the darndest time getting up on time after all summer just going to bed whenever the hell they feel like it. Now, I understand that wasn't really as big a problem here in this house. We worked that out over the years, but for some people, I know it's an issue because I hear about it in my daily life, okay? It comes up often early on in the school year. So get them kids on the sleep pattern immediately, like tonight. Tonight. All right, the second thing it suggests is, hold on. All right, and pause. It says address fears and anxieties. Okay, let me read that, then I'll break it down. It says, talk to your child about any fears, anxieties, or concerns they might have about starting a new grade or returning to school. Acknowledge these feelings as normal and discuss ways to manage them. In other words, say your kid is going from kindergarten to first grade and they scared of the bigger kid. Or say they're going from elementary school to middle school. That's usually a big one. And the biggest one usually from middle school to high school. All the concerns and stuff they have. You've been a high schooler before, you've been a middle school before, perhaps you got other kids in the family that have been to high school and whatnot in recent times. Sit the kids down with them and let them have discussions like, okay, I'm going to this school, you've been in school, what's it like, blah, 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 blah. I'm concerned about this, this, and this. What do you think? And y'all sit down and have a discussion. And all the things that you don't have the answers for, you can't find answers for, that's when you take those concerns and address them with the obvious school that your child is attending and figure it out that way, which is something else that suggests later on in here. Ain't got to that yet. Hold on. Let's see here. It says also, you should organize school materials. Help your child organize their backpack, stationery, and other materials a few days before school starts. One of the things that I definitely like about what's going on here in the city of Detroit over the last decade, there are several organizations that have stepped up and said, okay, we know these school supplies and stuff can get kind of pricey. We're going to do our part to provide your child with some school supplies. Particularly shout out to people like the lawyer Mike Morris, who every year gives a huge backpack giveaway. People like former athletes like Derek Coleman, and of course the great Jalen Rose, who does these things for his school and his organization, things in their neighborhood. Shout out to some of the church organizations that do it as well, like the church over on 7 Mile. I can't think of the name of it right now. Shout out to Pastor Kinlock, who has some type of thing that they do over there at his church. Pastor Kinlock, of course, is one of the people running for the city of Detroit mayor right now. And shout out to all these smaller organizations that don't get the recognition they deserve for doing those types of things to help out with school supplies and school uniforms and all that good stuff. We are very thankful that you are doing that for your community. And also appreciate those who donate to those causes, not only here in Detroit, but throughout the country and whoever's watching this broadcast as well. So I would say if you're having trouble getting some of those things together, get in contact with some of these organizations or seek them out. Use the internet in that way. Are there any organizations that's giving out backpacks, school supplies, etc., etc.? See what you come up with. See what kind of help you can receive. Second thing suggests that if you got any school supplies from the past year or two that did not get utilized, let us make some utilization of them. Perhaps you went to the backpack thing last year and the kid's backpack still looked good to you. So you figure you should have that kid use it again. Now, Here's where some of the problem come in, because some of y'all funny acting. In other words, no, my kid ain't using no backpack from last year. Everybody else got a new backpack. Got my kid out here feeling bold and funny. Sometimes y'all worried about the wrong stuff. Truly. If that backpack ain't got no holes in it and it still work like a backpack and it still fit on that child, they still about the same size and slightly bigger, man, you better use that backpack and quit playing. If you ain't gonna use it, and you got the younger kids, let them use the backpack then. Everybody ain't gotta have a new backpack every year. They don't need one. Let somebody else that's in need of that backpack get it. Meanwhile, you got a house full of old backpacks and stuff because every year your child gotta be styling and profile. And I know some of the kids like, they gonna tease me. I got the backpack from last year. First of all, again, kids worry about some of the wrong stuff, all right? In my house, it was like, look, just the money we got what we got. Like it or love it, okay? Until you get a job. This is what it is. Some of y'all can't deal with it that way. You gotta do it. You gotta figure out a way. So whether it's to get the Mike Moores or get the new backpack or hit somebody up or hit something up, you gonna do it that way. It ain't necessary if you got one, I'm just saying. But if y'all got some of them old school supplies that's still usable, use them. Save yourself some money. Explain to your spoiled child that, okay, yeah, I understand this last year's stuff, but look, the money we saved on that, we could use to get you some new kicks or another uniform, or perhaps save up for a trip when it's time for spring break, or a couple more presents when it's time for ho time and all that. Have that discussion. Keep it 100 with the kids sometimes. Okay? Save you some dollars. All right. Next thing it suggests, good people, is that you promote healthy habits. It says to encourage healthy habits such as regular hand washing, maintaining personal hygiene, and eating a balanced diet to keep them energized and engaged throughout the day. Yes, you know the eating habits of your child, and for those of you parents who insist on just letting your child eat the same 3-4 things so you don't feel like fighting with them, you're not really doing them a service by doing that, okay? If your child insists on eating nothing but nuggets and fries and McDonald's and won't eat nothing else, and you won't make them eat nothing else, you confuse them by not allowing for it to not be an option, that part. America is the biggest it's ever been. Trust me, I know. I am the living proof. It is because we do not incorporate enough good, fresh things in our diet. Now, part of the problem is that some of the money that we are getting to help out is being eliminated because of that big, beautiful bill. It's a great bill. It's helped all Americans. Everybody's going to get a nice little tax break. Whatever. Bottom line is, we still struggling out here, bruh. And I don't think you give a smurf. Don't even get me started. Back to the lesson at hand. Make them kids eat some vegetables. Make them kids eat some fruits. Make them kids get some good grains going on. Tell the kids you ain't gonna eat nuggets every day. You ain't gonna eat that burger every day. That McDonald's is expensive and I ain't buying it every day. Some days you're gonna learn how to eat this sandwich. Make them eat the sandwich. Put a turkey on a ham, peanut butter, whatever the heck. But make sure they eat. I don't know how many times you pick up the kids from school and they be like, did you eat today? Mm-mm. Why? You gave me that sandwich, I ain't want that sandwich. Everybody else was eating pizza, but I ain't had no pizza money. So now I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Knucklehead child, you better eat. Better eat what I made you. Flat out. That part. Tell them kids that's what it is. Stop being so soft with them. Some of y'all. Some of y'all don't play that. Shout out to them real parents that ain't buying it. Anyway, another thing that it suggests to Chat GPT. Some good suggestions, by the way. Engage your child in activities that involve learning to keep their mental sharp before school starts. This includes reading books, educational games, or simple science experiments at the crib. Now, here's the thing, good people. You know what helps with that? Let me give you a little extra tip. If you go on TikTok, there are 4 headers on TikTok when you go on there. One says live, one says the shop, what have you. There's this one that says STEM. Science, technology, education, and math. I believe that's what STEM stands for in terms of them. If you go on that and click that, there are all these videos that pop up that teach you all types of things, kid and adult alike. Perhaps y'all all can sit down as a family and watch the TikTok videos together and learn some things. Type in 3rd grade vids, 6th grade vids, whatever grade it is, they have videos for you. If you want to have your kids learn specific things. Now understand, some of the TikTok videos are not completely accurate in terms of what they're teaching. That's why it's important for you to be incorporated into the discussion. Like, for example, they'll have some things like learn about slavery. Some of them TikTok videos, they ain't keeping it real. Some of them purposely lying, okay? Make sure you know the right from the wrong so your kids can learn the right from the wrong. But it's helpful. Try it out, okay? Then, of course, they have all type of educational board games and stuff. If you go to the bookstore or the place that serves as Toys R Us, wherever that is nowadays, or hell, you even go on Amazon and type in educational board games. All these games pop up, and these are things that you all as a family can play and learn. Hell, it's funny because if you watch some of these game shows that count as programming during the summer now, because that seems to be only thing they show is that, or if you're watching Fox, you get a big diet of Coach Chef Ramsay and all the cooking shows. But anyway, some of those games actually learn itself to education, the Celebrity Jeopardies and things of that nature. Check them out. See what you can do to incorporate some learning into that, you know? It's a cool thing to do. All right, now also, I asked the chat, what else can we do to set us up to have a successful school year? Let me briefly go through some of those right quick before we call it a night. All right. One of the main things it points out is we should foster open communication with the teachers, maintain open lines of communication between parents and teachers. It is vital for understanding student progress and addressing any learning or behavioral issues early on. I agree. Don't even wait to parent-teacher conference. After that first couple weeks, talk to that teacher like, what my kid doing? Everything cool with them. They seem to be catching on, because your kids, they're going to tell you what they want to tell you. Most of them, you would hope, going to keep it real with you, but some of them, they just don't. Yeah, your kid be in the class talking like a mud. He think he the next Eddie Murphy up in him. They call him DC Young Fly Jr. because he be clowning. That's things you need to know early on so you can nip it in the bud. So before we even get to Halloween, Thanksgiving, your child already made that correction like, look, school is not for play. Shout out to Trey Mo. It is not for play. It is for real. Sit there and concentrate. Yeah, I said concentrate. I'm just being funny. But I know the word is concentrate. That's part of education, okay? So they learn such a thing. It ain't concentrate, it's concentrate. Now how you spell it? CONTENTTRATE. Concentrate. Spelling bee champion, 4th and 6th grade. You better recognize. Anyway, look. Communicate with the teachers. Communicate with your child. That is very key, okay? You need to know as much about what's going on in that school when you're not there as you humanly can to feel comfortable, all right? Learn if that school has some drills for intruders and whatnot. That's part of the school curriculum, unfortunately not. Your child needs to know what happens when something happens and they lock the school down, whatnot. Because like it or not, I guarantee you before the end of the month, It's going to go down somewhere. Somebody going to call with some BS or come with some BS. It's going to be some to that degree, and we already going to be back on that road. That being said, sit your kid down. Look them in the face, each and every one of them, however many it is, like, look, if you are having any issues that I need to know about before the school year starts, tell me right here, right now. And if you cannot help them at that moment, find them some help. Insist on finding them some help. I don't want to hear any more story about, okay, we tried to get so-and-so some help, but nobody would help us. There are people out here that will help. People that will do it for free if necessary, because it is that vitally important that we do not have these people with these thoughts in their head that they cannot arrange, and at one moment they decide the only way to resolve this is by getting some weapon of mass destruction and unaliving some folks. We don't want that. We don't want that to ever be the solution ever again. Okay? If we can help it. Sometimes that conversation may go a long way to not only saving the life of others, but the life of your child, to change their path forever. Because now you know this is what's been going on, and we gonna work it out together. Okay? Now, as far as the rest of the school year, we want the kids to learn. We want them to have fun. We want them to enjoy what is middle school, elementary school, high school. Look into all the other stuff that you need to look into. Stuff like, of course, different after-school groups, different tutoring groups, different groups for, games and whatnot. That's what they like to do. They have gamer groups and stuff now in school. They have cheerleading and all that good fun stuff. It shouldn't always be about this work, that, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you should like to go to school because there's some good things that go on in school, after school, good things, not bad things. Because if your child of a particular age, make sure they go to school armed with that discussion ahead of time, particularly if they're going to have activities that allows them to go out on trips across the country or overnight and whatnot. You want to sit down and have that discussion with them immediately. Because on the one hand, yeah, they going to see the monument and whatnot, but on the other hand, it's going to be known, yeah, it's about to go down. No parents up in this board. After everybody go to bed, we're going to hit the road. It's about to go down. Trust me, it went down like that now. When I went to school, it's going down like that now. Talk to your people. Let them know, hey, I want you to bring back an education, a diploma. I don't want you to bring back, nope, not sending you to school for that. And here, that includes some of these college folks. And make sure you had them discussions, by the way, with our college people, okay? Because some of these campuses now, there's some crazy stuff going on between the protests and the school shootings and all this other stuff. Sometimes it's these young adults' first time being away from home, and they're not fully prepared for all situations. Look, child, I set you up the best I can. We got you this phone. Get them one of those debit cards, okay? One where you yourself could track all the spending of what they're doing. Like, look, here's your debit card, your cash out, what have you. I'm putting this amount on here every week, every month. You spend it, it's gone, it's on you. If you need more, you better have a damn good reason and be able to show me what it is. Otherwise, you ain't getting no more money till the allotted time. That's the best way to do that, truthfully. Okay? And as far as them going to school with a car and all that, make sure they know what to do with the basic maintenance or what to do in case they get pulled over, particularly if they look like us. Make sure they got all that squared away before you send them off, all right? Have these discussions with your young people before school starts now to help set up for a quality school year for them, for you, and for all, okay? And again, shout out to all the educators that do what y'all do to teach our kids. I also want to shout out all my people on my Nighthawk Network. Shout out to Hugh Lee, my brother Hugh Lee, the podcast guru, sports guru. He'll do his show perhaps Tuesday. He'll definitely do his show Wednesday with myself called the Guru Sports Session. Check that out at 9. Shout out, of course, to Coach V, who will do his thug thizzle over in his show called Straight Sports Talk with Coach V, Fridays at 8. Shout out to the new show in the Nighthawk Network, Rumble Time, which will come on again on Tuesday, run by Queen Gemini. Shout out to her. Also, shout out to Road to Stardom. We are getting our pod show together for that. Road, I will hit you up tomorrow. We want to try to get that started either this week or next week. The indie experience, where she will talk to independent artists about their music and their work and all of that. Looking forward to that and working with Road on that one. And of course, shout out to the OGs in the system, Big Meech, Big Red, Aunt Nikki. We miss you, Aunt Nikki. Hit a brother up. Talk to me now. We love y'all. We thank you. We thank you, the audience, for tuning in to our pod. By all means, please like, share, subscribe. Check us out. Let us know what you think. We appreciate you. We love you. Until next time, good people, it's your boy E-Buck the Nighthawk. Let's have a good school year. Let's just have a good week, good month, good rest of the year. All that good stuff. And remember, when all that fails and you need to do what you need to do, but you just can't, put your hands together and pray to the man to help you make it through to get through, okay? Thank you much. Until next time, good people, I am E-Buck. And once I find the outro, there it is. I'm out.